Yep, it's purple. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about front accessory drives. You can wrap some serious cash up in accessory drives. Upwards of $5,000 or $6,000 for different setups, and I don't. I've been looking, and there was different ways to do it, but by the time I ended up with a new water pump, new power steering pump, new AC pump, new alternator, and everything which I needed new, it kind of made sense to get a package. Now, I looked around, I just really hesitated to do anything with it. But then I found this complete Holley Mid Mount Accessory Drive Kit. I'll throw up the thing here. This is a link to it. You can get these through Summit, you can get them through Amazon, you can get them anywhere. They're all about the same price, but this is a nice setup. And what I like about it is they redid the water pump to add all the mounting surfaces and mounting brackets to the water pump casting, which I thought was brilliant. It's a super nice, clean setup. It wasn't stupid money compared to buying all the pieces piecemeal. It was like you can get them anywhere, depending on what you need. You can get them anywhere from like $1,800 to $2,400. I know that's a lot of money, but by the time you get done buying all these individual pieces, you're pretty close. And then you still got to come up with some clapped up bracket that was gonna ultimately not work well for you. So I went with this. I really like this kit. I'm going to take you through the installation of it, and let's kind of go through it together. The first thing we got to do is we got to install the harmonic balancer crank pulley. Now it comes with a new one right here. I've already lubed up the surfaces, but just puts a light coating of oil on the seal surfaces and on the inside. It's a nice harmonic balancer. Doesn't really have any markings on it, but it comes from Holley. Okay, so now you just start to slowly work this on there. I've got my installation tool already in place. Let's see here. Now, don't fall. That'll be bad. Okay. Alright, so I've already screwed in the shaft. One washer in. It's got a thrust bearing for installation. And then another washer, and then a big old... Okay, so anytime I use a thread-on-thread puller installer, I like to put a little bit of copper never sees in it, just to keep the threads honest and keep it from galling. All right, I'm going to pull this in. Start getting this going. Now I just temporarily installed the flex plate and a tooth locker to keep the flex plate from rotating. And this should pull right in very nicely. I did oil the seal as well, just to get a little bit of pre-lubrication. And I polished up the journal on the seal journal on the crank pulley. Now, I'm not sure what distance this is. It seems like it's its own thing. Holley kind of just did its own spacing here, and that's fine. Oh, that does it nice. Okay, there it is, bottomed out. Now, pull the tool off. Now the never seizes all over me. But my fingers won't seize up. That's good. Good thing. Okay, so that's on. Now the instructions say use the tool, install the original bolt, and torque to 240 foot-pounds. Using a flywheel holder, which we have on there. So here's the original bolt. When I say original, I meant the bolt off the other motor. Now, let's get this. Okay, that's 240 right there. Okay, there we go. That's an awful lot. Okay. Now we'll take it back off. Now we'll put the new bolt in. Doesn't say anything about lubricating the threads, so I'm putting it in dry. All right, now I'm gonna take my torque wrench back down to 60 pounds, or 59 pounds. Okay, so that's 59 pounds. Okay, so 59 pounds sits there. So 125 degrees, they're about right there. And I have a mark at 0. So now I take my torque wrench, or probably not my torque wrench, probably just my big wrench. So this is, again, this is a torque to yield bolt. So these new bolts are designed to stretch rather than achieving a certain torque. So what you do is, now that I know my okay, so now I'm at 0 and I have to bring my wrench around to 125 degrees. There, 125 degrees. Yeah, that took some effort. That's a lot of stretch on a big old bolt like that. Okay, next step, water pump. Okay, so here's the water pump. You can see it has all the brackets and everything built into it. It has a cartridge type impeller, which I like. I put on a Velcro gaskets and a little bit of Loctite. Now I'm just going to start to work this in. Slowly bring that in so I don't do anything crazy. Okay, now we'll torque that at 18 foot-pounds. Well, 18 foot-pounds doesn't feel like much. But assuming it has pretty critical to these metal gaskets. Okay. One more time around the horn. All right, there we go. All righty. Next step is the pump. All right, so the pump and gasket has a nice little setup here. And it does have this weird flange in here, which the directions do not mention, of course. But actually, it doesn't matter because this can only go on one way. Now that I think about it, because of that pin. So that has to go on that way. Now I'm going to, and you have holes in the water pump that you use to line up the bolts. So I'm going to just throw a couple bolts through there just to hold it while I try to maneuver this thing. Now the nice thing about this pump, and one of the things that really sold me on this kit, is if your water pump starts to leak, all you have to do is replace this little cartridge. You don't have to pull the whole thing apart, which is very nice. Little double Loctite. We're not going to go crazy. Just a, you know, not going to get too happy with it. Just a little bit. Okay. Now, let me get this up on there. There we go. Just wiggled that gasket right up on there. Directions say to actually put this on before you install the pump. I can see where that would be wise, because then you can just hold it upside down to do it, and then you don't have to worry about gasket slipping or anything, but it was easy enough. Just like that. Now, the other thing the instructions are very clear about is these are 20 millimeter long bolts, and there's two 18 millimeter bolts in the kit that you want to make sure you don't confuse with these. Hello, what's happening here? We'll do the next one and just make sure everything's okay. That runs right in. Crack just a little bit. There we go. Now, I'm going to torque all these down to 85 inch-pounds. Which again, doesn't sound like much. It says do not use a ball end Allen wrench to do this. These are not very deep. Ball ends are not good for button head screws. Not good for a lot, really. Socket head cap screws, they're okay. But again, not my favorite. I break them off all the time. If you're gonna buy ball end sockets, make sure they have a lifetime warranty because you will use it. Okay, there it is. Torqued. 2-spec, water pump, sorted. Okay. Okay, next step. Gooseneck. That's another thing that GM straightened out finally, rather than the 1950s design. It's got a built-in rubber. It's got a spot that's indicated for it, for a little beakhead. And that just sits right in like that. And this guy goes in like this. And this is what the two 18mm screws were meant for. And it said, do not confuse them on the water pump. Nice. How many people had to fight that stupid paper gasket on the old thermostats? How many times? Insanity. So once again, a little, check on the design enhancements over the old small blocks. Okay. I get it. These are intimidating to a lot of people, the computers, all the wires, all that stuff. But when you really break it down, it's still just a, small block engine. It's just got, instead of a distributor, mechanical device distributing spark, it has electronic device distributing spark. It has, instead of a distributor, it has a cam sensor and a crank sensor. That's it. It just needs to know where they are. Yeah. I assumed that was 85-inch pounds. £85-inch. Do not over tighten. Bad things will happen. Okay, excellent. There we go. Next step, heater hose nipples. All right, so this has a kind of a neat setup for your heater hoses too. It gives you two possible mounting locations for them. You can mount them here, as is traditional. You can put them here, or you can put them down here if you need the clearance, like this, and make your hoses come out submarine style. I'm gonna go with the traditional spot because it's fine. Hopefully this stuff's still good. All right. This is Permatex thread locker or Loctite thread locker, thread sealant. So, okay, the 5/8 one goes in the rear. And I'll wipe off the excess when I'm done. And then the 3/4 one goes in the front. Okay. Work that in a little bit. Okay, so now work those in. Uh-oh, watch out. Big socket hit you right in the toe. All right, here we go. Now this is pipe thread, so you just gotta kinda be smart about it. Use your calibrated elbow. That should be good. All right, and I'll wipe off the excess later. Okay, now here's an interesting little trick. So these are big pipe threads. I think they're 3/4 inch NPT. Maybe 5/8, I'm not sure. But anyway, we gotta seal them first. The problem is they have a 1/2 inch hex Allen head in them, and I don't have any 1/2 inch Allen head sockets or even a 1/2 inch Allen wrench. So what I do, once I get enough locker on here, come on. Way too much. It's gonna go everywhere. All right, so I'm just gonna start them up in my hand. Then what I do is I take a grade 8 bolt, like so, put a couple of nuts on it. Yeah, get the right socket. Excuse me, it's not 1/2 inch, it's actually 3/8. Okay, so I don't have any sockets with any Allen heads with 3/8. So I'll just take a grade 8 bolt, put a couple of nuts on it, and use my ratchet and use that as my Allen head. And just wind that up in. Okay. And that's it. Got one more to do, and then that will be done. All right, next step is the alternator. It comes with a really nice little black 1-wire alternator. It does have a plug that comes with the kit. And there we go. So, 2 bolts, one's a button head, one's a socket head cap screw. So we'll put the button head on the bottom. I'm assuming there's a clearance issue there. And then the cap screw at the top. Actually, hold on, I'll put a little Loctite on that first.
Okay, here we go. Just a little drop. You don't need to bathe it in Loctite. And that's a nice tight alternator setup right there. I mean, there is about 1/2 inch to the back of the block, just more than enough. I mean, not the block, to the front of the head from the back of the alternator. So, very nice clearance there. And then this gets torqued to 36 foot-pounds. And this pulls the nut in on the back a little bit. Oh, come on. You can do it. There we go. And of course, a different size Allen head for the socket head cap screw. Now, there's your alternator, all lined up, all one piece one piece mounts, everything's set up, ready to go. Okay, that's it for the alternator. Next step is power steering pump. Okay, so here we go. It's got a nice little Holley power steering pump, built-in reservoir, cool cap. And it's got this little bracket, what they call the tight-in bracket, that allows you to relocate that hose. Maybe. There we go. And you just tighten this banjo fitting in. And then there's a little screw that holds it to the back. Okay, so we'll just tighten up that back screw first. Snug it up a little bit. We got to torque it in a minute. Okay. And then 25 foot-pounds. On the banjo bolt. Okay, 25 foot-pounds on that. Hopefully it'll give me my Allen wrench back. There we go. And then 18 on the back bolt. There, okay. So, that looks good. Now, it says to put the pulley on next. I'm gonna I'm going to put the pump up on the device first here and then do the pulley after. Three bolts, flange head. Nice clean setup. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is the return line is just a barb, I think. So I will probably be replacing that with an AN6 somehow. Figure that out when we get to it. And there we go. And these again will be 18 foot-pounds, no doubt. Just run those in real quick. And then we'll torque them. Then I got to dig out my pulley installer. And 18 foot-pounds. There we go. Looking good. All right, gotta find my pulley installer and we'll get that going next. So far, so good. I love this kit. This is really a nice setup. Okay, so I put a little never sees on my insertion tool thread once again, just to keep it from galling. Just take a 7/16 and slowly work this thing on. The pulley should just thread right on. Not thread on, push on. Press on. It's going nicely. It's got a ways to go. They say that it's on when it's flush with the face of the shaft. Should be almost there. All right, I'm gonna take a look. Just because I don't want to go too far with it. I'm not quite there yet. I can tell by the pulley. Yeah, I got about another 1/16 to go probably. All right, here we go. Okay, that kind of felt good. Right there. Okay, and that's it. Now I just take my tool out. And the object is to get this flush with this. And I think we're there. Nothing's dragging. I think we're in good shape. Okay, we'll put this away and we'll move on, I think, to the AC compressor. Okay, power steering pump, AC compressor. You preload that bolt, and it's the one opposite the fittings. And you just set it in this saddle, which is very convenient. And you line up this bolt somehow. Oh boy. Ha 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 ha. Valve cover got to come off. Awesome. Well, ain't that something? Okay, my valve covers are a little too tall for this setup, so I'm going to pull the valve covers off, or that cover off. Bring you right back. All right, valve covers off. Just going to slip this in like so. Then drop this one in. And then it should be ready to tighten up. All right, now it's got the little thing where it takes up the slack. Same thing on the other side. There. And it's good. All right, I'll stick the valve cover back on it. Okay, so now all I got left to do is throw the belt on it. I've kind of pre-wrapped it a little bit here. Just loosen up the tensioner and slip it on, and that's it. There's a cover that goes here that I'll do next, but other than that, that's a very nice little front package, I think. Good looking setup, everything's low and tight. I don't know how you can get much more compact. So I like it. I'm very happy with it. I'm going to probably end this video right here. I don't think you need to see me put that cover on, but yeah, so far so good. I think this is a solid purchase, and it's just got a lot to it. It's very easy. The pump, having all the brackets integrated into the pump housing, was a stroke of genius, really. I'm sure that was not a cheap endeavor for Holley, but it really works nice. Very, very well done. Okay, word about steam vents. So GM on most of their trucks and stuff, they just do the steam vent in the front. They cross it over and they run it up to the radiator. In this case, it goes to the pump. I prefer to do all four corners. Even on my old small block Chevy racing motors, I used to drill and tap a hole in the intake right in that blank spot where the head ports have fluid. And I would plumb those up to the front as a steam vent. You don't want a pocket of air developing back there because it will definitely develop a hot spot on the head. So I like the four-corner kit. Now this kit is a cheap Amazon kit. Do not buy it. It is absolute garbage. The bulkheads weren't tapped. There were no O-rings. I had to come up with my own O-rings. I had to tap the bulkheads. I had to bend these a little bit, but I don't mind doing that. I want it to fit the way I want it. But when I have to go through and drill, tap out NPT holes just because they neglected to do it is kind of crap. So, yeah. Anyway, not a recommended kit. Buy a quality kit from Holley or something like that. Spend the money. You'll be happier with the product. Anyway, so yeah, that's my little rant on steam vents. Like I said, this one doesn't go to the radiator. They have a nice little port in the back of the water pump right here. The steam vent goes right to that and takes care of business. So that's kind of nice. One less hose I got to worry about getting caught in the, in the rotating assembly. So that's good. The next step in the real is I'm going to start working on the intake for the EFI. So get the intake all mounted up and possibly even the throttle body and all of that. So stay tuned. Let's get started on that.